And good evening, people. Just in here for a quick minute. Man up Mondays with the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. He gonna tell us how it's going down. It's supposed to have been on her, I guess earlier, but long day. Um, and then I gotta make a get out on the move again. But just coming in for a quick minute. Just waiting for the judge to get in the house, and we're gonna talk a little bit. It won't be long tonight. Got other obligations, but I always try to do the man up Monday session with him. So it is what it is. Just waiting for him to get in the house, and when he comes in the house, we'll talk for a little bit and see what's on the judge's mind. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I don't know. It's um I don't know, a lot of internet connectivity issues right here. I don't know what's going on, man. It's getting really, really crazy these days. I guess they might be messing with me. They might don't like what I'm saying or whatever, but still had to come on. So with that being said, still waiting on the judge. I hope everybody is getting ready for whatever's about to come down the pike. 2021, 2020 was a weird year, and 2021 is gonna be another weird year. So let's get ready for um, another day in the life. Um, I think they tapping into my daggone phone or something, man. Um, Shoot, man, I hate when I'm rushing to do something, but it is what it is. All right, let the judge in the house. Hey, good evening, sir. How you doing? How you doing?
Okay.
You doing okay?
All right. What's up?
I don't know, man. What's on your mind in 2021? They say Happy New Year to you, but that's not my type of celebration. But I hope everything's going well in Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, they'll manage. They'll
Oh,
manage.
okay.
Let's see what develops.
Well,
Why speculate when you can find out soon enough? And the older you get, the quicker the time seems to pass. So it doesn't seem like you have to wait long to find out. But, you know,
well, I was looking up some stuff. I hadn't talked to you, and I hadn't had you on in a while. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was a very interesting development over the holidays when you had a woman named Kamala Harris say that she celebrated Kwanzaa. What do you think? Grew up celebrating Kwanzaa.
I've always said career prosecutors are some of the most low people you'll ever find. They've been entirely too used to playing with the truth. and stretching what in the law is termed permissible inferences. They take that too far. They have no one to answer to. There's no check and balance on them personally. And they tend to get extremely dishonest. And that's one dishonest bitch. So, yeah, okay.
Your sound going out. There you go.
Kwanzaa originated in 1966. This snitch, Ron Karinga, aka Ron Everett, started it so he could better inform on the black community. She was born in 1964 in San Francisco. Some of her followers even want to claim that her daddy is responsible for starting Kwanzaa. There's no end to the perfidy that some of these people will get into. Kwanzaa was not celebrated generally outside of the Los Angeles area until close to the 1980s, so I'm sure she and her multi-generational Hindu family celebrated Kwanzaa. She's a liar, a charlatan, and she's like that other lying heifer, that other witch that carried the hot sauce around in the purse.
Oh, Hillary Clinton.
And colored folk, Negroes, will fall for anything.
Well, let me ask you a
They're
question.
so desperate for something to latch on to, or if they're, what is the term now, boule enough, so they can be trendy.
Well, the good question is, I was talking to your buddy, what's his name, Sakima Bay.
I'm not really hearing you. There's a great deal of static in what you're saying.
Sakima Bay, can you hear me?
I'm getting a lot of static.
All right, hold tight. Let's see. Let me.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, Sakima Bay. Sakima, brother, that was at the restaurant. He made a statement about her, and he was basically saying that she's a front off, and people don't understand who she really is. Like she got in through a scholarship program and all that stuff.
At Howard, yeah, and she was in the dorm smoking a joint, listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg when both of them were about 9 years old, maybe 10.
Well,
Some people trying to defend it say, well, Snoop Dogg says that, or Tupac said that he passed off for being grown when he wasn't but 14 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and did some rapping in. Well, come on.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, and this has been a recurring topic, and as you see, tomorrow is the runoff, and then January 6th is another runoff, and there's been a lot of objections lately.
6th, that's supposed to be where they assemble in D.C., and whether there is any controversy, any vote for adoption of the report on the status of the electors. At least 11 senators have indicated that they will object. They seem to be indicating that they want to evoke the Act of 1877, which is a 15-member committee composed of 5 senators, 5 representatives, and 5 Supreme Court justices to review the, shall we say, veracity of the claimed selection of electors. There was a very hotly contested election then and a lot of allegations of fraud, so they had the committee. The way it was composed then is the House majority party would get 3 members of the 5 from the House, and the minority party would get 2. That would mean 3 of the House members would be Democrat and 2 would be Republican, and for the senators it would be reversed. 3 Republican members of that committee set and 2 Democrats. And on the Supreme Court, it's usually the last 3 selected. So that would be Trump's people, one other one, and then the Chief Justice. So they would come up with a report. Everything stops under the 12th Amendment until that gets completed. So I don't know. We'll see.
It was a weird thing trending yesterday on Twitter. It was called President Pelosi saying that if nothing is resolved until later, then under the amendment, she would be the president.
Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
No, she wouldn't be under the 12th Amendment. There would not be no president. You already have somebody sworn in, and this person technically could get 2. So that's another term. So it wouldn't be like anybody had turned out. So no, that's crap.
But yeah, and she almost lost her Speaker of the House yesterday. But
the thing that was going on is there was a real set to some young Republican female representatives for their reporting for their first session on Sunday refused to put on masks, and there was a challenge about that. And they pointed out that unlike in the Senate, you actually had to be present on the floor to vote on a rule change for the House, and Pelosi was waiving the House rules, which said that if you're positive for COVID-19, you cannot be present. So she was going to waive that for several Democrats that had tested positive and still testing positive for COVID. So she was pointing that out.
You have an interesting you know about Nancy Pelosi because you used to live in California, don't you?
Well, I grew up in California, and I went back for that show for about 15 years, but I still maintain my voting residency in Tennessee. But besides that, Nancy Pelosi's from San Francisco. Queen Harris is from San Francisco. And Pelosi represents what is probably the gayest district in the United States. So you have to remember that even though the Speaker of the House is a very powerful position, the holder still has to get elected to their primary congressional district, or not really congressional, House of Representatives district, because Article 1 of the Constitution says Congress shall consist of 2 houses, the House of Representatives, 2 chambers, the House of Representatives and the Senate. So when you say Congress, you have to say Senate and House of Representatives. Most people just think when you talk about Congress, you're talking about a congressman, which was a little misnomer because at the time that came about, they were the only members of Congress that could be elected. Senators were appointed by the states. So they still have perpetrated that confusion. One of the things you saw was that interesting charade about impeaching Trump and sending the articles over to the Senate where they got short shrift. They said he abused his authority and he obstructed Congress. Well, they fell into that stupid trap of ignorance too because they thought Congress referred to the House of Representatives. But whereas he may have in fact seemed to obstruct the House of Representatives, the truth of the matter is he was doing what the Senate, the other chamber in the Congress, wanted done. So that failed on arrival. It's got to be the whole Congress. He didn't. But there is that. That's a technicality. And then the other thing was there's no such offense as abusing authority because the 3 grounds were treason, bribery, or high crimes and misdemeanors in office. So none of the above applied. It just got kicked after wasting a lot of time grandstanding. Something's wrong with this election period. Granted, election fraud is characteristic of the United States. We've been voting longer than any other country. And we have the longest history of election fraud. From New York, where it was graft, to the South, where it was racism. And now Well, it's moved into the electronic age, so with mail out ballots, unsolicited computers, and electronic voting machines, it's what you say now about ID theft and online crime, where punks can sit behind a computer screen and thieve, whereas in past years they had to put their person in jeopardy to hold somebody up to burglarize something or to steal something. Now they can just punk the hell out, hide behind a computer keyboard. But you know, it is what it
You know
is.
something? You know something? Glad you mentioned that, Judge. And I might just ask you how the media plays people's minds. Okay. Yesterday, you know, the news media was bringing up this thing about this call. I listened to the whole call. The man told him, "Okay, you're not being honest. Did you move boats out? Did you move this out? Did you do this?" The guy said, "No, that didn't happen." Now I'm looking at the video of when they was in the room doing it, and they said that he needed to find boats. Daggone, they already got the boats. They've been busting in these buildings of these machines the whole time. They found 423,000 votes today that was supposed to go to
Yeah,
Trump.
but Brother Bernard, it don't mean shit unless somebody does something about it.
That's right. That's right.
Shit happens all the time. Here in Shelby County, the Justice Department found that there hasn't been a fair election here since 2000. That's 20 years, because the Diebold voting machines are hacked. They put the money up in 2008, and the colored boys on the county commission have refused to approve replacing the machines. So the Justice Department had already put the money up. They threatened to sue them. They hid that. That was in 2019. So they bought the machines, but they've kept them in a warehouse and used the hacked machines for 4 elections since.
With the questions I
The
was, what I
state
was asking,
primary and state final, Maine, and then the federal primary and the federal main election. So they've used hacked machines perpetrating
yeah,
the whole
oh
thing.
yeah.
So we've had 20 straight years of bogus elections. They are selections, not elections.
Well, yeah. What I was saying more so in this case was that the media put that out there, but you listen to the whole call. That's
Yeah, but the
not.
media, see, we have to understand.
I understand.
Media is just media. It's unofficial. Somebody used to be trying to report what went on. Now it's for entertainment value, and it has no probative value on a damn thing other than that somebody printed it to prove that they printed it. That's it.
But let's
So
talk
if
about
it's some
like
real
CNN,
evidence
right?
out there and somebody gets it and put it to use, then fine. But see, we keep thinking that what we hear on mainstream media has something to do with reality. It doesn't.
That's right. Not CNN.
Crying Negro Network. Van Jones with his sissy ass sitting up there crying. He's so happy Master done won.
Well, you got Don Lemon and you got
Oh, Don Lemon with his little sugar booty, with his, white husband. Come on
well,
now.
Van Jones is actually married to somebody in Jimmy Carter's family. I think he married to
I
Jimmy
don't give a
Carter.
shit. Still, most of them are married anyway. They're just deep in the closet. And then
Well,
you got Anderson Cooper to squeeze his little sugary booty to sweeten up the tea.
well, look, let's talk about that because if you really look at it, you go into it deeper. Now you done got the Senate runoff and the brother, I guess he
Yeah,
ran with his wife, Warnock. Yeah,
Warnock with
yeah.
that pretty little wife. Talking about she didn't know what she was gonna do. She caught him with that boy, and he ran over her foot trying to get away, and she just put up with all she can put up with his little funny looking. Now, then there was the thing today. You may have sent it to me. I looked at that. Right across the street from Rev's church, they have all these homeless people living up in all this trash and clutter, and this fool doesn't even have the initiative to see to cleaning up something straight across the street. Big ass church with a lot of funds in the bank. They can't go over there and clean it up and do something for those homeless people. And this jackass wants to be a jackass senator.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and
great.
they're using him to try to push the Equality Act.
Well, yeah, but see, the bad thing about it is the Senate's held up that piece of shit garbage called the Equality Act. They snatched affirmative action away from black folk. Now they want to give it to strange folk, queer folk. That's what they call themselves. We're norms and breeders. They try to cast aspersions on us. And, oh, they're norms. Oh, God, they're breeders. How gross. You know, like, the fuck
You know,
is
I was
wrong with you?
talking to, and I want to give a special shout out to you for letting me interview Dr. Carmen Johnson. And she, but I was explaining to her one time about BLM, their website thing. Do you know the website? We are queer
They took
affirming
down
network.
what we believe. They are trying to destroy the traditional family, wreck cisgender privilege, which means man's privilege in the household. They are a queer affirming network. What the hell? That's poison. Bunch of commie idiots. And the last thing we knew, you needed to be hooked up with that garbage. Even the Soviets abandoned it.
Well, I'm glad that, yeah, because I was explaining to her about that situation, how they had the website and we were talking about it and they took it down or they removed it because what we believe is not up there anymore.
No, I know. It's on a place called archives.com or something like that, where they archive stuff like that so they can't hide it.
Archive.com, right?
I think that's it. Something
Okay,
like that.
let me put that in the chat because
It
people
may
might.
be, but it's every now and then somebody posts a thing on Twitter and you can check it out. You should screenshot it and save it.
Okay, well, I
It's
just put that in the
informative.
chat.
You can see what snakes they are. And then they got that fat hippo looking one that gets naked and flaps all around all that flab with gold grease smeared all over. She likes to get butt naked and greased down with gold something or another and take pictures in front of police stations or standing out on the sidewalk someplace. That's like, what's wrong with you?
I was talking to somebody today, and we were talking about all the last year. We were talking about 2020 and a year in review, and they were talking about what's his name? What's the guy name? They said that he been kind of quiet lately ever since he went to the Supreme Court. What's the brother's name? Byron Allen. That's his name. Byron Allen. So they were bringing him up and talking about how great
Oh,
he was.
Byron Allen. I told you that was a fake. The deal was CBS can't get on the cable without going through either a minority entity or going through Fox. So what has happened is Byron Allen was fronting off from that. They went through all this hell, and then they got a settlement when the Supreme Court said the case ain't ready to come up, send it back. You have to make some findings relative to these issues, and they settled. It wasn't anything that for black folk. It's no new production. It's just taking reruns that are already played by Comcast. And then see, you've got Bounce TV that plays most of that set of reruns that he wanted to play. You've got One TV, and see, Bounce was formed by Martin Luther King III, another brother, and Ambassador Andrew Young of Atlanta. And One TV was founded by some sisters. So, you know, you already got black entities that have stuff on there, but they aren't flunkies for CBS like Byron Allen. So, you know, everybody was, all you got to do to get Negroes all riled up is to say it's got to do with racism, even if you are perpetrating the racism yourself. See, black folk know better. Negroes still get caught by the okey doke.
Well, yeah, I was like, I was looking at something, and me and a friend of mine were talking about this the other day, and we were talking about this. I don't know if you've seen it, this thing with this cell phone thing where the woman, I guess, tackled, and now Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump are on the way to the rescue again. I mean, I don't know if you saw that. If you didn't, it's okay. I mean, the media have been perpetrating on it, but it's kind of
What
weird.
happened? I may have seen it. Describe it.
I guess a white woman was trying to say that a black child took her cell
Oh,
phone.
that 14. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Al Sharpton's got so little damn credibility. James Brown's ex-boyfriend and, well, former boyfriend. That's why I kept gassing his hair. I don't even hear that charlatan. He just, like he said, he loved too much fried chicken. Okay.
Well,
Now, he's just pimping us. So the deal with the whole thing is the woman had been a cheerleader for one of the pro teams. The reports are that she had several matters involving criminal charges and public intoxication, including a DUI, recent arrest, therefore, and this was just part of the course, and she probably needs therapy. So it is what it is. It's just a crank. It has really little to do with all of the issues that assholes like Sharpton try to fish up and get the Negroes riled up like they're going to do something, which they don't. It's just
well, let's ask you a question. So I want to ask you a question because you grew up in the 1960s. So how do
I didn't
you
grow up. I was grown in the
you was growing in
1960s.
the 1960s? That's my fault. My fault.
I was
So how
out
do
of
you?
college before the 60s were up. Okay.
So the question is, how do you snuff out provocateurs like Sharpton? Well, yeah, I mean, usually he'd be able to.
Look at how he acts. He's always jumping in on something. As soon as something happens, he's got to fly there and be the first one there to carry some banner or march in front of some protest. He doesn't contribute a damn thing to it. He has no solutions. He just shows up to get counted. So I remember the anniversary was 2008 of King's assassination. A friend of mine and I decided to walk from downtown LA to a restaurant, and we walked down, I think it was Main Street. We were going over to Beale Street and then to the Civil Rights Museum. So we were walking over there, and all of these people started gathering around me and my friend, and we were talking, and we became aware of the fact that Sharpton was trying to conduct this march about a half a block behind. So I don't particularly like him. So we just held it up for about 10, 15 minutes as everybody is gathered around us, including some cops. So we were talking, and then when we got through, he was like, "Who are these people that held me up?" Like,
Well, I will say this.
folks said, "That's our man down there. Who the hell are you?"
Well, I know one thing. I knew that was a daggone story. They made a mountain out of molehill about that story. 'Cause I'm like, I mean, if you
They
show it, that's
always do. Like that fake thing that woman pulled off where she said she got kidnapped, raped, and excrement smeared all over, and it turned out to be a fake. And he was raising all kinds of hell about that.
Justice
And
Smollett.
then, was they?
Justice Smollett.
That wasn't it. This was years before. But I mean, it's just a long term, and he just opportunistically finds whatever mess he can get himself into and tries to exploit it for his own personal gain. He's a pimp. That's
Well,
how
you
he
get it.
even got discovered. Don Cornelius on Soul Train wanted to get James Brown. James Brown wouldn't go on there unless his 15, 16-year-old little buddy, who turned out to be Al Sharpton, wasn't allowed to get on and preach. So you can see somebody preaching on Soul Train. So anyway, that's how he got discovered.
Well, yeah, I know, man. He been a thorn in our side for a while, but it was
An
also another.
embarrassment, actually.
Well, I got another couple more questions to ask you because I got to make another run, but I got to ask you this. So it's 2021 now. So how do we improve on our manhood and womanhood?
Read and study. And when I say read, don't necessarily read books by people who are stating their opinion. Go get some facts. Find
Okay.
out what the hell's going on in the world. Find out how militaries work, how systems work, how governments work. Study these things and get a clue. Don't always wait. I read Dr. So-and-so. I read Brother so-and-so. Hell, read yourself and digest what you have and reach your own conclusions.
Okay,
And everything that you need to read is not written by or about somebody black. There's a thing about truth. Truth has no face but truth itself.
okay,
Everybody's
now,
got to be Afrocentric to the point where it becomes Afro ignorance. Yes, it's interesting to know about your people, but once you get motivated, expand, find out about science, technology, engineering, math, that kind of thing. Find out what's going on in the real world.
now let me
Expand your horizons.
now, I gotta ask you another question here. Now, as far as women, like I said, we have a lot of outstanding women, but we did have a case where I sent you that video of that woman in the bathroom.
That woman should get. It's an especially aggravated case. Technically, in Tennessee, that woman could get between 8 and 15 years in a penitentiary.
For that?
And yes, for that. And there's a lesser included offense that might get her 3 to 6 years. So she needs to be convicted, prosecuted, and convicted. Maybe she can be put on probation, but she needs to be compelled to undergo mental health treatment. That's sick.
Yeah, because
You don't
when
let
I saw the video, I
little
said, "No,
boys
man, you
like
can't
that
do."
rub on your bare ass. What's wrong with her?
But you know
See
something,
that,
girl?
but you know what? See, a lot of us talk about Cardi B and Lizzo getting up there twerking with her bare ass out, poked out the back of that long thigh length T-shirt with the hole in it, twerking in front of all those children who might have been tuned in to watch basketball. You know, our young brothers don't watch anything but damn basketball anyway. We don't read so much. We ought to. But there is Lizzo twerking, and then I guess this chick, she looked a lot better than Lizzo. I'll give her that. But apparently she thought it was okay. She bent over and was twerking and with her butt up in front of all these boys' faces, and then she stood up and pulled her pants down. Somebody said, well, she had on pink panties. No, it was a thong. So she was flashing her bare ass in these boys' faces, and then one of them with no shirt on jumps down and goes over, starts grabbing two hands full, and then all the rest of them start putting hands on that bare ass. And she kept going. She's a pervert.
Well,
And it looked like, considering they're in the bathroom, my experience with investigating such things is that it looked very much like there was a party going on, and she just decided she was going to go up there and put her 2 cents in to pervert these little boys. Now, I don't mind if they'd been 13, 14, and she's silly enough to stick her bare ass up so these young boys got a hard on, fantasizing about screwing her right there. That's one thing. But these boys were like 6 to 8 or 9 years old.
well, yeah,
That's
Judge.
sexualizing children, which is part of the perversion that these clowns represent, who look at Master Biden as their savior and
Speaking of,
Queen Harris.
well, speaking of that situation,
That's that Equality Act. See,
let's ask the
it
question.
was styled after Juicy Jesse faked that lynching. Kamala Harris and Cory Booker pulled that act that had been tabled again. It was written by Conyers back in 1997 off the table, and they labeled it the anti-lynch bill, and it got passed with no debate. But there's nothing in that bill about lynching. There's nothing in that bill about black people. It's all about not just gay people. That isn't even that bad. It's about downright perversion. It's about considering that children 10, 11, 12, 8, 9 years old get to make choices as to what's going to impact the rest of their lives in terms of sexual orientation. It adds language in there that would make being a pedophile a protected category. And I always have a problem with that too. Long as you can do whatever you want to do legally in your own bedroom with whoever you want to do it to, that's all you're entitled to. Well, it's a condition I said, no, it's not just a condition like being black, which you can't do anything about. It's not about religion, which is beyond your ken since you've been indoctrinated. It's not about your national origin, because that doesn't change. It's not about whether you're a man or woman, because that doesn't change, in spite of some fools that think you can change it. It's not about that. what it's about is consensual sex. They can't help it. I said, look, are you trying to tell me that every time gay folk have sex, it's like jailhouse sex where somebody's getting raped? No, it's consensual. Well, if it's consensual, that means somebody says, okay. Well, of course. I said, well, if somebody says okay, then it becomes voluntary. So you mean to tell me that people who like to do certain voluntary acts become privileged?
Well, yeah,
What happened to all the rest of us? And see, now the pejorative for normal people is they call us norms and they call us
you
breeders.
know what? In the House of Representatives, they want to actually change that to no gender orientation type stuff.
You know what? One of the problems we're having with COVID-19 is actually a reflection of this. In order to get people to buy into this faux science, this bogus science that some practitioners of these perversions have put out to support what they do, they had to debase and demean science in medicine in order to get the medical opinions discounted that say it's abnormal. I mean, somebody's abnormal, you have to accommodate them, but that's like you have people that were born without a limb. But to accommodate them, you don't cut everybody else's corresponding limb off. In other words, this guy was born with no left arm because his mother got a hold of something that had thalidomide in it. So we're going to have to cut everybody else's left arm off right at the elbow. Oh, that isn't how it's done.
Well, I do
They
got
have a
one.
right to do what they do, but they can't compel the rest of us to accommodate it outside of the bedroom.
Well, Judge, I got one thing to say, brother. Hey, look, it's sick and it's perverted, but I will say this, and I got to ask you a question. So, I do thank
It's
you
their
for always
business.
for bringing up the man element and bringing some sense of normalcy back, because daggone, we've been off the track, baby. But out of thanks, thank you for hooking me up with Dr. Carmen Johnson, and I also got another thing to say. And I want people to know how to follow you. You let people know how to follow you, Judge.
Oh, I am on Twitter at Judge Joe Brown TV. I've got a Facebook and an Instagram account, but I don't use that because they censor so badly on Facebook and Instagram. There isn't even any point. You could say there is some debate on whether or not cosmic radiation will cause significant mutations, and somebody will get upset, and Facebook will be, oh my God, you upset someone. Bad, 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 naughty, naughty. And a son of a bitch is a son of a bitch, and you ought to be able to call a son of a bitch what his ass is. Hell, Harry Truman, they used to call him, give him hell Harry. He was doing that back in the 40s. Tell that son of a bitch I will come over there and kick hell out of him. That's what he used to say all the time. Hence, give him hell Harry. So that's
Hey,
been going
Judge, I
on
got
for
a question
70
here.
years. So all of a
If
sudden, you
someone,
can't call the son of a bitch anymore. It's part of this participation ribbon bullshit where everybody gets a participation ribbon and nobody wins.
can someone send a link to the women he says need mental help? I guess they want a link to know who the women that need mental help.
I don't know. They haven't found out who that woman is. You mean the one that's twerking? They don't know. People are looking to find out because a lot of people would like to see her prosecuted. She should be. One poor fool tweeted in and said, "Hey, quit cooning. This is how I was raised."
Wow.
Some people came back and said, "Man, we feel sorry for you. Did Uncle Ray feel on you?" Talking about it.
Oh, that was on Twitter.
Yeah. Talking
Oh,
about, hey,
by the
man,
way,
that's
the
too
audience,
bad. And I sit back, I said, man, do you realize what that implies about you? That you said that?
well, let me say one thing. I show people in the chat, they might want to, you gotta. Oh, thank you. Oh, they say they found it, but um, I want to thank your host, Valerie Juice Jones, for helping helping my fix my website up. It's almost done, so I got a shout
Oh,
out to
Valerie
Valerie.
Denise is tops.
Yeah,
She just
she's
jumps in there and
great.
interferes with the men every now and then. She's all
But
sensitive
but
about it.
but go ahead and shout out your show information.
Oh yeah, that's on Friday. Valerie Denise Jones produces and directs Judge Joe Brown, and you can find it at, I think it is 929-477-1167. Dial in and you can listen. And if you dial in before 6 o'clock or 7 Eastern, you can press one and participate. Well, excuse me. If you call in before 6 p.m. Eastern and you hit one, you might get to talk.
Yeah. One more question: did the judge know anything about the bill that McConnell wanted to slip into the stimulus package about the 2,000? I mean, I'm
Yeah, what
hearing.
happened? Trump been asking for 1,500. Pelosi came up with 600. Said, why didn't he ask for more? He did. Bottom line is the 2,000 is one thing, but you see, what is being debated is not the 2,000. That's Crying Negro Network is telling you that. What's being debated is that it ought to be more than 2,000, but you've got 25 billion in there, 15 billion and 10 billion to Pakistan. The 10 billion is in there to deal with advancing transsexual issues in Pakistan. Like, what the hell is that shit?
That's right.
You know, and money in there for sex change operations. And then the other thing that is really offensive about it is there's a big chunk of change to give COVID-19 release to CNN, Fox, Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, etc. Why in the hell do these mega media outlets get COVID-19 relief?
You're
And they
right
got
about
a
that.
cutoff on how much you can make before you can get your little COVID check. Why do these mega bucks entities get COVID-19 relief? They all need to crash because, frankly, we do better without them.
Also, illegals supposed to get 1,800 as well. So there's a lot of other stuff going on in
When
there.
somebody
But
calls me, it screws things up.
well, look, Judge,
People
I guess I gotta
call,
make
they
another
still
run.
have problems.
Well, that's okay. Well, look, I ain't gonna hold you, but Judge, I thank you for always taking your time out to come and do your show on Man Up Mondays, and I just, I'm glad that I was able to do it. I almost wasn't able to do it because I had a lot of obligations, but I want you to take your time. I want you to take your time, be sure Black Power, and keep on pushing, brother.
Man, we got a lot of static over that one. Or I did. Can you hear
Okay,
me okay?
I can hear you. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
you got heavy static coming in from you. But yeah, what we have to do for 2021 is improve, self improve. I know people want to throw this false god of unity out there, but let me tell you something from being of age in the 60s and being involved in the things I was involved in. You don't need unity right now because too many people that are dogs, traitors, snitches, pimps, simps, and people you really don't want to associate with would love to get in with you, and you don't need unity with them because it'll take you down. Don't get upset if somebody is pointing out what's wrong with your people because you can't improve if you don't know what's wrong. How would a football team, basketball team, baseball team go if the coaches all they said was, "Oh, good, you're doing good. Oh my God, you're so fantastic." Instead of, "Mister, what the hell's wrong with you? Block that damn dummy. You're not sitting up there playing pity pat with that. Hit that thing. What's
Well,
the
look,
matter with you?" Or,
with
okay, don't raise that hip up like that. Drop your hip. What are you trying to do? Play like you caught in a penitentiary shower? Drop your hips and drive, boy. Drive. You
hey,
need
look.
coaching.
Look. a lot of people like the message you provide, Judge. And like I said, you can contact him at Judge Joe Brown TV on Twitter, and he does not have a blue check, right?
Yeah, and I might tell some people to go fuck themselves because I certainly don't want to say fuck you. They might get excited, but I don't swing that way.
Well, look, Judge, it's always a pleasure.
Focus, get your shit together in TCB. Take care of business. Show up to work, do your damn job, study what the hell you want to do in the alternative. Quit looking at basketball, baseball, football, and other bullshit that is not going to make you a damn dime unless you're a gambler. And
bread
you
and
got
circuses,
big
right?
bucks to be making off of that. Yeah.
Bread and circuses. Well, look, I'm gonna just say, take your time.
Don't it in Latin is donne pane exercitie. Get a motherfuckers some bread and circuses. Feed their ass and see in Rome, they had the bread dough. The government made the bread and passed it out. So they had bread, and then they had the gladiator contest. That's what they call circuses. We got plenty of that now.
You take your time, Black Proud brother. Keep pushing, and tell it. And the people, you got the number. Call in on Friday.
Yeah, you know what? That is 929-477-1167.
Yes, sir.
All right, and I'm out of here. Happy New Year.
You too, brother.
All right.